Welcome to this week's End of Days Update, coming to you from Tulsa, Oklahoma. We had such a great time this last weekend in Mount Clair, West Virginia. We're at Life Point Church. Folks were so hungry. They received the message so well. Super excited. Amazing. So cool. And if you're anywhere near this weekend near Kentucky, we'll be at London, Kentucky at Victory Life Church. And we'll be there Sunday morning, Sunday night. And then Monday and Tuesday of next week, we'll be in Oakland, Iowa at Fellowship Church. We'll have a great time there. We'll get into all kinds of stuff, having fun. So we come to you every single week to look at the different things that point to the coming of the Lord, and specifically the gathering of nations for the Ezekiel 38 war, because that happens just after the rapture. And the rapture's signless, but the second coming has got tons of signs. And people ask me, well, how are you sure the Ezekiel 38 war will happen right after the rapture? Well, it goes back to Old Testament time after the church leaves, and you watch God intervene for Israel. And in this dispensation, he doesn't intervene. He left the authority up to the church. So once the church is taken off the earth, he can do things basically literally like rat-a-tat-tat with his baseball bat. So man, he rolls up his sleeves during that 7-year period and defends Israel. The Bible says that the heathen may know that he is God. So that's why we look at that, because when you can see the players for that war coming together every week, radically, it lets you know we're very, very close to leaving the planet. So I know, as weird as that sounds, we are going to be raptured, and that's not escape theology. It's a hustle theology. As you see the day approaching, we accelerate. We get more done in a short period of time. You remember when Jesus came into that town and the demons started to cry out, "Have you come to torment us before the time?" And I love it. They're submitting instantly before Jesus even preaches. And I like it that demons knew he was early, though. He was on schedule. So if demons can know the schedule, how much more the church? It's been so much wrong teaching about the coming of the Lord that we wouldn't know how close we are. When Paul said, that day won't overtake you as a thief. So it won't overtake you as a thief. That's what the Bible says. So let's look at what's happened around Israel, man. So much stuff keeps happening. Literally with the Temple Mount, there was another big brush about the Temple Mount, Israel being told you can't come up on the Temple Mount and pray. I like it more happening with that because there's just a lot more pressure you see going along with that. So I think the big thing was that last week we kind of talked about Benjamin Netanyahu, who was forming a coalition, looked like he was going to win. Well, the results came out. He did win. So you had even President Biden call and offer congratulations. What I do like was the feeling of the change of a right-wing a group there in Israel with Benjamin Netanyahu talking about Iran, about literally what will they do, seeing how you have the International Atomic Energy Agency coming out last week with all that verbiage they came out with, and they followed it up this week with even more, talking about there's no way to possibly tell where Iran is at. So that means Israel is going to have to do something, and really it probably is going to be Benjamin Netanyahu. There's different scenarios that are going to play out, but it's definitely looking like it's going to happen soon. So in the middle of that, you had North Korea fire off ballistic missiles. And then they said those weren't just for South Korea. Those are so that we're getting ready to attack U.S. forces, different places in the Pacific. So you've got them threatening our forces. You got them threatening South Korea. And then you had some cyber attacks from North Korea in Israel this week, trying to steal information about missile technology for North Korea to have even more information. So I'm reminded of that because get ready for some radical cyber attacks on Iran. Just as they stopped that ship the other day in international waters, Iran's kind of going crazy because of all the turmoil in their own country. You've got so much happening that the Iranian money has gone completely, almost bankrupt. So you're watching them get to desperation, and when countries get to desperation like that, they start doing really weird things like firing missiles at people. So all the technology that they've gotten is because of that. So you had even Russia this week give Iran $140 million, along with, this is kind of bizarre, anti-tank missile stuff and anti-submarine missile stuff, Stinger missile stuff, technology. So it looks like Iran's going to be able to copy that technology. It was stolen going to the Ukraine. Russia got it. So they made a big deal about that because now all of a sudden Iran has access to all these kind of anti-tank missiles. And of course, they're getting ready for what they're going to do with Israel. I mean, you had this week even the Tigris River showing that it's about to dry up, along with the Euphrates. The Bible said the Euphrates River is going to dry up so the kings of the east can come over and attack Israel. So you got nature setting up for all this. You had big sun flares and bright lights come over California this last week. It looks like a meteorite hit a house there. And then in Portugal, Spain, you had another one of those sunspots, flares, bright lights over that. It's meteors. Tonight, you have a blood red moon on the night of the elections. How wild is that? Yesterday? So blood moon indicating some pretty interesting things about choices that nations make about what their leaders are going to do. So much more is happening behind the scenes, I really think, with the EU and with the Pope even coming up. So we have to watch what's coming because, man, the king's about to come back. This is so exciting. So you have more things happening with Israel. There was an energy company found 15 billion cubits of natural gas off of the side of the shore there in Israel. Israel just keeps having event after event after event showing how blessed they are. Some of the things for inscriptions from King Hezekiah were found this last week showing and proving things that the Bible is so true. So we're there. We have all these things with Iran, all these things with Turkey, all these things with Russia set up for the Ezekiel 38 war. And you're watching Israel get in position along with these nations because Jesus is just about to come back. Wow. So what do we do? After that, we always go to the signs because number one, you got Israel made a nation. Number two, Jerusalem won back. Jesus said the generation that sees those two signs will not pass away till all is fulfilled. So you've got a ton more. Our book that just came out has 70 some odd signs. So after that, you've got the Hebrew language restored because God said he would restore to them a pure language. You have the Ethiopian Jews brought back in one day. You have the fertility of the land of Israel. You've got the revival of the Roman Empire. You've got their Capitol building that looks identical to the Tower of Babel. They purposely did it like that. So amazing. But then now you've got fish in the Dead Sea. You got foxes on the Temple Mount. You got the ritual baths around the Temple Mount fill up with water, first time in 2,000 years. You have the Dead Sea turn blood red on where Sodom and Gomorrah was on the Day of Atonement. Man, it's just, those things are amazing that are happening. So you have men will be lovers themselves. You have selfie sticks. So you have all these things that point to his return. You have 172 different species of predatory birds that showed up in the land. So you got the cleanup crew in Israel right now. So right after the Ezekiel 38 war, God will call on the fowl of the air to clean the land up. 7 years later, he'll call on the fowl of the air again to clean the land up after the Battle of Armageddon. So you've got nature in position, birds in position, fish in position, Russia in position, and you've got Turkey and Syria getting their nations ready to attack Israel. So all of the Ezekiel 38 wars right there happening right in front of our eyes. So with all those signs, though, we go to signals next. You had blood red moons on Passover and Tabernacles. A few years ago, why is that a big deal? Because Passover is when he died for us. Tabernacles is when he's going to come back and tabernacle with man. So the heavens are going, I died for you, coming back. Died for you, coming back. You had 4 in a row on Passover and Tabernacles. It's called a tetrad. When's the last time you had 4 in a row like that? 1967 when Jerusalem was won back. 1948 when Israel was made a nation. 1492 at the Edict of Expulsion when the Jews were kicked out of Spain. So amazing. Significance tied with dates with Israel, with the heavens. And then you had the Bethlehem star. We don't talk about that a lot, or you don't hear that preached on a lot, but when Jesus was born, you had Jupiter, a king planet, Regulus, a king planet. You have Venus, men are from Mars, women are from Venus. You had Regulus do retrograde motion and crown Jupiter. It looks like it's going backwards, but it's not, but it forms a crown over Jupiter. Why? A king was born. What was the constellation? That's right, buddy. He was born. What was the constellation? Virgo. This last year, NBC Nightly News said we have a celestial event. Jupiter, Regulus, Venus. And what was the constellation? Leo. He's the lion of the tribe of Judah. That's right, buddy. We're about to see the king. The amazing thing is how quiet it is in the earth, and all of a sudden we're about to see the King of Kings and the Lord of Lords. Wow. Well, so what do? Help our local church. Help our local pastor. We don't fit church into our life. It is our life. It's all about a hustle mentality. I hear people go, well, if you talk on the coming of the Lord, you just get everybody's hopes up. That's exactly right. It's the hope that purifies us even as we're pure. And tell a quarterback at the end of a football game not to be looking at the play clock. He's looking at the play clock because the plays are more crucial. The church has to get that mentality that we have a short amount of time to hustle. So how blessed are we, though? All of a sudden, we're going to be changed in a moment, in the twinkling of an eye. This mortal's going to put on immortality. The stain of Adam's going to be taken off of us. We'll rocket right to heaven in a glorified body, have a meet and greet with our family, and then go right to the reward seat of Christ, the marriage supper of the Lamb. And then I guess we go to horse flying school because we come back with the Lord on white horses, and the earth makes ready for the entrance of the King. There is no movie. There is no mental way to even get ready for the radical, wonderful things ahead for us. Great things ahead, so we should be excited. Have a blessed week. We'll look what's happened all around Israel. I believe there'll be some cyber attacks in the next couple of weeks so that Israel doesn't have to necessarily knock Iran off the map. But wonderful things ahead. Scary for the world, wonderful for the church. Have a blessed week. We'll see you next Wednesday.
Thanks for joining us today at the End of Days Update. If you'd like to be notified every time there's a new post, just go to the edu at josephmorris.com and subscribe to receive email alerts. If these posts and updates have been a blessing to you, please consider making a one-time donation to help get the message out, or even becoming a monthly partner with Joseph Morris Ministries. Thanks again for tuning in to the EDU, and we'll see you next week.